Have you ever wanted to know what you could do going forwards with Fortnite and how things are going to change when it comes to creative maps, UEFN, and even this discovery menu right here that everyone either likes or hates? Well, in today's YouTube video, we'll be going through a lot of different changes that'll be happening very soon to the discovery menu, to creative mode, and to UEFN, and it all relates to some very interesting features. Now, one of the features we're actually going to kind of talk about a little bit here that they're working on is a follow feature that will allow you to actually follow people in your discovery menu. So, for example, if we go down here and we find a map that we want to play or something, so, you know, for example, Bed Wars, which we actually just had selected right there, we could go ahead and click it, and instead of favoriting the map, we could go ahead, go to like more from this creator or whatever, go to the boy Dilly's creator profile, and favorite the whole entire creator so that they would get their own section in my discovery menu, right? Dedicated to all of their maps. That is a feature that Epic Games wants to work on going forwards, and it is an interesting way to actually improve some stuff, but of course it's not the only thing they want to do. So for this video, of course, we're going to be going over to my Twitter account to showcase all of the brand new stuff going on, but of course you may see this right here, which is a blog post talking about the Fortnite Discover section. Your questions answered. I know, it's a whole entire blog post about Discovery. Whether you love it or hate it, it exists. We're not going to be reading this, instead we're just going to be focusing on the specific changes, and it all starts with this tweet right here, where they mentioned that some of the things coming to the game is, firstly, text-based search. What this is whenever you go into your game and whenever you go to this search menu, it tells you can search for island names or codes, right? You have the whole entire popular tags and everything else. However, if I type something like survival games, right? For example, we try to find like Diddy's map or whatever, it's just going to infinitely load. It's not going to actually show us any of those games at all because text-based search isn't something that is actually fully functional. However, we do something like 111-111-111, which is an actual creative map code, it does give us a result, and we can see this 1v1 build 5 map that actually exists and uses a pretty rare code in the game. So it's something that they want to improve on in the future, so that if you type like something like hello or FireMonkey, you would be able to search for islands that way, and you maybe be able to find people's islands based on their actual creator name themselves, instead of having to worry about, oh, you know, what is the exact island code I'm searching for? So that is one of the things you can expect to see in the future, is a much easier to search browser for discovery menu, so that you can just type in a random word whenever you're bored and try finding maps with that genre or naming scheme actually in it. Some other things they're working on definitely go into the more device territory before we get into the whole entire UEFN thing, but they want to also work on a device that allows you to actually link to your outside social handles within it, so you don't have to use like GUI pop-ups or anything else, being like, hey, follow me on Twitter or whatever else, use my supported creator code. Instead, they want to just have a device where you can click on it and be like, you want to go to their Twitter, you want to go to their YouTube, their MySpace, their Hulu account, I don't know, right? That'll be one of the options that they want to eventually enable via a special creator social handle device, and that's one of the things that they mentioned in this blog post working on. Some other features that they're actually working on are more for UEFN, but as we can see right here, they're working on stuff such as persistent devices in UEFN, so they're trying to work on more things that actually persist and save your data, other than just, you know, like the save data device, all that type of stuff. They're trying to make more persistent type of things working there, so you can have even more things get tracked and saved for future games. I mean, imagine if you go ahead and buy a certain door in a game, then you leave and you join back a little bit later, that door is still bought in the exact same way that you did, without having to have like a 500 device set up for that one exact door. I assume that's something that they're trying to make more easy to do, where it's like you can persist a person's data on, did they buy this door beforehand? If yes, good job. Did they buy this door, you know, 5 years ago? If yes, good job. But you know, if they haven't logged in a month or something, maybe get rid of it, you know, something along those lines. But one of the interesting things that they mention here is camera and control modes and customizable map and minimap. For the customizable map and minimap, they mentioned that this is going to be support for multiple maps, different visual stylings to the map, customizable labels and indicators on your map, and control over the display behavior of players or NPC icons on your map itself, which definitely is going to be an interesting thing. But I think the most important part right there is support for multiple maps, being able to have a creative map that allows people to go from one world to another, and having a different map specifically for that other world. Maybe it's a different section in the same generalized map, but you know, it's a smaller mini map or something else along those lines, who really knows, will definitely be one of the cool things that enhances, you know, the whole entire creative map making flow in the near future. But for the camera control modes, we actually have a gift to showcase with this. As you can see right here, what they're trying to work on is a whole entire new system where you can go ahead and change the whole camera view, going from this like side 2D platformer type aesthetic, you know, something like Terraria in a way, to a top-down aesthetic and everything else. Now, this is something that I really love, because I do want to eventually make like a flat 2D platformer, like a Death Run or whatever else, or I guess technically a skip skill run with how Epic Games calls them nowadays, but that's a video for another time. But of course, they mention here that with this GIF, they have a few different pointed camera angles that they're working at. They have a fixed point camera, which is a configurable gameplay camera that doesn't move, but pivots towards a look at point. I assume that's kind of like, what's going on in some of these different clips and everything else. They have a fixed angle camera, which is a configurable gameplay camera that moves to follow and frame a look at point, but it doesn't rotate. So basically think about it like this camera top or whatever else. Like, I think that what's going on in this actual video is a fixed point camera, but they're kind of working on fixed angle cameras as well. It's a lot of confusing stuff, but to kind of dumb it down, they're working on different camera angles and different ways of using the camera in game to really make some unique and interesting experiences. And I mean, when I see this clip from the top down point of view, all I can think about is like Hotline Miami or Dead Ops Arcade from Call of Duty, and those are two things I would love to see recreated in some way in Fortnite. So who knows what people are going to be making once they get access to all these little tools here and there. They also have third-person controls, which is a configurable gameplay camera that allows a player to move and target enemies in any direction, detached from the camera's facing. So, I assume that's going to be one of the things where it's like, hey, your camera won't move where your body moves or whatever else, but you can still target enemies in whatever direction you're looking at. I know there have been some UEFN kind of, mashed together things that are like, hey, technically you can have a top-down camera, but it usually messes up the whole entire control scheme a lot, right? It just feels so unnatural. So I assume these are going to be a more natural way of implementing everything into the game, and I'm excited to see what happens when they're officially implemented. But of course, in terms of everything, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to when it comes to the whole entire land of, creative mode changing and everything else. I mean, even as you can see right here, they mentioned that some of their goals of the discovery menu is to give players a chance to be found and, allow all pieces of content, quote unquote, to be found and everything else. They mentioned that they've had a 7 times increase in number of new games, receiving over 10,000 impressions within their first week, which is a lot higher overall. It's like a 7 times increase. You don't really think about that too much from the discovery menu increase or change or whatever else. A lot of people hate discovery menu. I'm not the biggest fan of it myself, but I mean, if it's helping get all these maps out there and helping promote new creators and that type of stuff, maybe it's a good thing at the end of the day. They also mentioned that, they're trying to strive to offer a fresh and compelling experience for Fortnite players, to be able to go into Fortnite, not really worry about, is the game just going to be the same old battle royale forever? They can find tycoons, they can find Skibbity Toilet Ohio death runs or whatever else, right? There's a lot of things to experience. Some of the things you might not want to play based on the naming scheme themselves, but there are options that are available to you. And then they obviously go into like, hey, how does the discovery menu change? Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, they're working on tons of little creative things here and there in order to make sure that the discovery menu works well. You're able to find the maps you want to find, and you want to go ahead and get all these improvements to UEFN or normal creative mode if you're someone who likes making maps yourself. However, you may remember earlier in this video, I searched FireMonkey, right? Because I mentioned you can search island names or codes, and we are still loading. This is the thing about discovery, right? You have to type a specific code, or else you're just not going to find anything. Like if I just type 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, will we find a map? No. And it's like it tells you instantly, there's no map to be found, even though it says you can search for island names or codes, right? And I mean, even for example, if you go over here, let's look at a random map. I don't even know, right? Bed Wars, just one easy, simplistic name to type. Type Bed Wars into here, it's not going to show up. It will just load forever. However, if we take the code, which is 7048 8422, I'm going to forget this code actually. Let me just quickly screenshot it. And if we go ahead and put this code into the actual discovery menu over here, in the search bar, which is 7048 8422, oh, actually 22 2298, we're going to be able to easily find it super simply, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how they end up changing it over time. And I do know on top of island names being searchable, they also want you to be able to search for creator names, so that is something to keep in mind as stuff goes on. I mean, even if we type the boy Dilly in here, it won't show his maps because it doesn't have that support as of yet, but it is stuff that they're going to be adding in the future. But with that said, just a little bit of video talking about all of the changes coming to discovery mode in the near future, all the changes coming UEFN and everything. I'm mainly excited to see all the different camera angles and all the new experiences people are more easily available to actually make in the game, and I hope that we're going to end up getting some cool little experiences here and there, like top-down zombies or something like that. I would definitely play those. So until next time, I'll catch you champs and chambettes a little bit later. Peace out.